When I think of killer dentists, which I don't do very often, but when I think about killer dentists, I think about Steve Martin's character Orin Scrivillo from the film Little Shop of Horrors. In the song Dentist, he describes how he's a sadist, which is why he's so successful at being a dentist. My mama noticed funny things I did, like shooting puppies with a BB gun. I'd poison guppies, and when I was done, I'd find a pussycat and bash in its head. Don't worry, I'm not gonna bash in your head, motherfucker. It is a well-known fact that many serial killers have a history of torturing and killing small animals in their youth. This unique story takes us from Florida to Hawaii, spans 4 decades, and involves all sorts of intricate detective work. It involves 2 victims, and of course, the aforementioned killer dentist. Welcome to Musical True Crime. If you subscribe, every Friday we'll have a brand new true crime video with music.
1982, cringe head, motley crew, acid wash, jeans, mullets too. Knee decade Wall Street, Gordon Gekko making all the money, making all the money. Kathy Hicks, 25, Delta Airlines in the sky. Airline stewardess, watch her fly. Spend a little bit of time in Hawaii. She's spending a little time in Hawaii.
Nuuanu, a word which means cliff, is on the southeastern part of Hawaii. But before we get into what happened to Kathy in Nuuanu, let's take a time machine and travel back to 1984 and meet Pamela.
In 1984, Pamela Jane Cahanes was finishing up her training to be in the Navy so she could fight tooth and nail for her country, kicking ass and taking names on a boat. Pamela had grown up on a dairy farm in Baytown Township, so she milked cows, churned butter, and hung out with Betsy the cow. She graduated from Stillwater High School in 1976. She, like Kathy Hicks, was also 25. She studied at the Orlando Naval Training Center along with Thomas Garner. Mourn him later. They were both strangled.
Oh, that would hurt.
And left by the side of the road. Not only that, but both of these cases went ice cold for 37 years. Let's dig a little deeper.
So on the morning of August 5th, 1984, the summer sun was beating down on Orlando, and a motorist was driving down the street when they noticed a body in the long grass next to an abandoned house. Can you imagine, like, driving down the street, just enjoying your summer day, and then just blam, there's like a body? What the fuck? Seriously. So whoever had done this to her had placed her in a very humiliating pose. Yeah, it was clearly a homicide. It was obvious.
DNA samples were collected from her body and her underwear, matching the DNA profile and the scrapings found underneath her fingertips. DNA samples on a fleck of blue cellophane on her right shoulder, and a pubic hair on her left, and the yellow carpet fibers found in her waistband.
It seems like the couple shopped for a little bit, and they must have done a little bit of bar hopping, one bar to be fair, where they drowned a few brewskis. Brewskis. They were seen in the early evening hours and between 6 and 8 p.m. the night before her body was found by the vacant home. The question burned into their brains: who was this mysterious man? Investigators were chomping at the bit to find out. And they were chomping at the bit for a long time.
Many years passed. Authorities cracked open the case again when the forensics experts, that is such a tongue twister, found semen in her underwear. It was still early in DNA testing, so the techs could only assemble a partial profile of the killer. They also tested skin fragments, but they couldn't find a definite link to the man who left semen in Cahanes' undergarments. Not yet, anyway. Flash forward to 2017. So Thomas Garner, man, this guy was living the life. He was living it up. I don't know if he had a boat, but he should have had a boat. He probably had a boat. Maybe he didn't have a boat, but he definitely had a car, and he had a great life. He was just living it up. He was a nice full life. He had a Yelp page. He was just, you know, fixing people's teeth. He you know, 61, heading towards the sunset years, right? And just like that Delta Airlines employee, Kathy Hicks, he was in Honolulu at the same time as her, which was between April 1980 to October 1982. So in other words, these two were the same place at the same time. Interesting. Very interesting. At this point in the years-long investigation, we're talking like 35, 36 years, things started to heat up. Nice and toasty. Oh, I feel friction.
Things started getting crazy, detectives never lazy. Maybe there was a chance to find the son of a bitch. Genetic geology, 2017. Solve the cold case of the Golden State Killer. The detectives thought they had a chance. They did high fives and a happy dance. Fingers crossed we'll get this guy. Put away your tears and don't you cry. Don't you cry. Ah, 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 ah. Don't you cry. Ah, 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 ah.
So, in our whole year, 2017, thanks to the Parabon Nanolabs investigators who were working on Pamela's case, they actually used a technique, and this technique is a genetic genealogy DNA technique. And with this technique, they actually created a composite image of how this horrible douchebag killer might have looked like. So we're finally making some headway. This man was identified as a man of African heritage with brown or hazel eyes. 2018. Die Firma Parabon hat dann diese DNA von diesem Typen hochgeladen auf eine Database, die nennt sich GD-Match. Und die wird benutzt, um DNA-Material hochzuladen und zu vergleichen und was zu finden für Opfer und Verdächtige von Murder. I can't remember the word.
So in early 2019, Mr. Pearly White's Mr. Teeth Straightener, Mr. Dentist Mafioso was identified as a suspect. They were on to him. The gig was up. Was it the jig? The jig was up. The jig was up. The jig was up. Not the gig. I get gigs. This guy. He doesn't get gigs. Unless he sings in jail. I don't know. What do I know? So now, the investigative team had a definite suspect after 37 years of working hard, trying to crack this case. They had to start dumpster diving. That's right. It was time to dive into dumpsters. They weren't homeless. No, they weren't homeless people. They were cops. But unfortunately, the next phase meant they were getting dirty. They were getting down and dirty. You know what I'm talking about. They dove into Mr. Garner's trash and they found a cotton swab, a cigarette butt, dental floss, and basically they found the DNA jackpot.
handcuffs. Because we weren't there.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Thank you so much.
I don't break the law, man.
Are you okay first?
Well, I'm just trying to be calm so that my blood pressure,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Is there any, are you feeling any relief?
Relief for what?
Relief that after all this time that we're finally coming to talk to you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. So you're familiar with the case we came and talked to you about earlier today?
I'm not familiar with anything you talked to me about today.
All right. Well, we came to talk to you today about the murder of Pamela Cahanes from 1984. She was a recruit on the Navy base. She graduated on a Friday, and on Sunday morning she was found deceased in Sanford, Florida, dumped in a lawn, in a yard. Okay. So obviously it's been a long 34.5 years, but the case has been worked consistently since 1984, jointly between Seminole County Sheriff's Office and NCIS. Obviously, we have evidence against you as to why we have an arrest warrant for you and why we're here. So we just want to talk to you and see if you still want to maintain that you have nothing to do with this investigation, that you have nothing to do with this homicide?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's basically what I was saying this morning. I have no idea what you're talking about in terms of anything that's happened on that base.
Okay. Well, I can't say that it happened on the base, okay? Because she was found in Sanford, Florida, dumped in a yard of an abandoned house, a house for sale that was vacated at the time. You're probably asking what evidence we have.
I don't know what kind of evidence you have. I don't know what's going on, period.
Okay.
It's just when I walk out the door, I mean, you guys come in this morning and started talking about something, 30 years ago. I can't remember things that happened 10 years ago. I can't remember anybody.
You've had a relationship with her?
I don't know anybody. I wouldn't have had a relationship with her. I was involved in a relationship at the time.
Okay, so let me just ask you this, and don't take this the wrong way.
Sure.
Would you have, in 1984, would you have dated a white chick?
No.
Okay.
I have friends that were white.
Right, and I'm not going there. That racist at all. I'm just asking, your personal preference. Would you have dated a white female?
No, my girlfriend at the point in time, she was black.
Okay. Would you have hooked up with, had sex with one time a white female?
Well, I have sex with any female. I mean, being in the military, you go different places and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my God!
The ladies' man.
Mr. Garner, I know we can go round and round like this.
Yeah,
but I hope you understand. I hope you understand what we're telling you.
Well,
you're facing a first-degree murder charge. First degree. That's premeditated murder.
Mm-hmm.
And we can prove that you were with her sexually when she died.
Well, the only thing I see is that we keep going back and forth with this thing, and maybe I might need to have an attorney because it's you saying one thing and I'm saying another thing.
Okay.
So we would have to fight this thing to get myself proven innocent, and I guess my life from this point on out is going to be ruined no matter what.
It took them 2 hours to convict Thomas Gardner of first-degree murder.
Good. He deserved it. Do you think he did it?
That's not up to me, man. Just judge.
Local man on trial for a decades-old murder takes the stand testifying on his own behalf. Thomas Gardner is accused of strangling and killing a Navy graduate the day after she graduated from Orlando's Naval Training Center.
Prosecutors say his DNA was found on evidence preserved since the 80s, and that is what led to his 2019 arrest.
Well, it's very unusual for a defendant to take the stand, but obviously the jury will decide if he helped or hurt his case.
You know who Pamela Cahanes is?
I don't really remember her. I tried to look at the picture to try to
see if I could recognize her, but I didn't recognize the picture.
Prosecutors say Garner's DNA matched DNA found on the victim's fingers and underwear, preserved for close to 37 years. Garner took the stand very confidently, but had odd answers when asked about the DNA.
And certainly we've heard testimony today that your semen was on Pamela Cahanes' panties that she was wearing. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And that your DNA was on or under the fingernails of Pamela Cahanes.
I don't think they said it was under.
He received a lifelong sentence. Wow.
How would you feel about that?
Well, I think that's something we don't do in Germany.
A lifelong sentence?
A lifelong sentence.
Why not?
Well, because I suppose it's just too long.
A lifetime is a long time, isn't it?
Well, it just seems unfair, you know? Yeah, I don't know, like everybody makes mistakes. Yeah. A lifetime sentence just seems...
You strangle a couple,
you know?
You do.
Don't know.
Yeah. I hear you.
4 decades after killing a Navy recruit on the day after she graduated, a local man has just been found guilty of her murder. Thomas Garner was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
She didn't have that chance to serve the military like she wanted to. She didn't have that chance to get a husband, to have a family. I mean, so much was taken, and yet he's had those 37 years and done whatever.
Yeah.
And so I feel vindicated that now I want to take something from him, and it means, I guess, sitting in prison, reflecting while you're there, what you've done to become there. And I want him to forever say her name, Pamela Jane Cahanes. That's exactly why I'm here.
You'd think that'd be the end of the story, right?
Yes.
But it's not.
So do you guys remember Kathy Hicks, the Delta Airlines stewardess I told you about earlier? Well, when she was in Honolulu, apparently she was dating a guy named Tommy. And witnesses reported seeing her with him. They took the elevator from the 24th floor down to the lobby and then out to the pool. And that was the last place they were seen. She had brought Tommy upstairs to meet her friend, and they left by the pool. Swim, I guess. I'm not sure, but I assume. She was obviously strangled to death, much like Pamela Cahanes in 1982. Witnesses provided sketches of this Tommy character, and apparently he was like 5'11", 6 feet tall, 150, 160 pounds, and he was clean cut, brown eyes. Sounds pretty familiar, if you know what I'm talking about.
June 2021, he actually got slapped with more charges. 42 days after he started his lifelong sentence for the murder of Kathy Hicks.
It's in a decades-old cold case murder in Hawaii. And we first brought you this story in our late news last night. A 61-year-old Florida man now linked to the 1982 murder of Kathy Hicks. But he was just recently sentenced to life in prison for another cold case murder.
What happened was that he was indicted by the grand jury, the Oahu grand jury.
Indicted.
He was indicted by the Oahu grand jury, and he was charged with second-degree murder. No, what was he charged with? With 1 count of murder in the second degree. 1 count of murder in the second degree. The bail was set at $2 million.
$2 million?
$2 million US dollars. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's a lot of cornflakes.
That's a fucking lot of cornflakes, mate. So, if he gets convicted again, he's facing another life sentence in prison, with the possibility of parole, but it's another life sentence. Let's face it, he's 61. His days of filling cavities and pulling wisdom teeth are, you know, nothing but a memory, right? The only cavity that's going to be filled, you know, but I digress.
Thomas Garner took the lives of 2 innocent women. There is a chance he took even more. At this point, it's anyone's guess. He enjoyed almost 40 years of freedom after these crimes, and were it not for the advancement of DNA technology and some hard-working investigators, he might still be roaming free. I'd like to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Pamela and Kathy were his only victims, or do you think there were more? And which of the 3 songs in this episode do you like the most? 1982, DNA, or Cry, Cry, Cry? Drop your comments in the comment section.
If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to slap a like and subscribe to our channel, and of course ring the notification bell for more weekly musical true crime stories. Don't forget to join our Patreon for more exciting behind the scenes videos and exclusive content. And if you're a patron, you get all the musical true crime songs for free. And remember, be safe out there.